Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and Pokemon trainers of all ages. We are here with the finals of the League Cup at the Collector Store in St. Peter's. I am once again Jared Carpenter, joined by my co-commentator, Chris Yingling. And Chris, we have once again a blast from earlier in the streaming session today. We have Darren B versus Toby H. We have seen them both so far today, but once again, we have an interesting matchup on our hands.
Yeah, congratulations to these guys for getting so far. Darren and Toby, two of our great players in St. Louis. Really good to see these guys doing so well in the tournament to this point. Get all the way to the finals, very deservedly so. We've got a very fun matchup here, and you couldn't have two teams that are more different, which is very fun. We've seen a lot of times in this tournament just so far. We've seen a lot of Miraidons and Incineroars and Urshifus and Rillabooms and your good stuff against good stuff. But here we have 12 different Pokemon in the game. Can't be more excited to present this matchup. This is Darren's third time on stream today, so he doesn't need a lot of introduction here as the sun-setting team with Koraidon and that little bit of a unique twist for the Sun team with the Galarian Weezing on Darren's side here. Of course, the Koraidon holding the ability Shield so that the Orichalcum Pulse can still get off and the Sun can get onto the battlefield despite being next to Weezing. That is paired with the Calyrex Shadow Rider with the Focus Sash. We have seen that Darren's version does opt for the Encore, which is something that it definitely needs to be on Toby's radar here, clicking those Protect or Wide Guards or screens or anything like that. Definitely needs to keep an eye out for that. Walking Wake, also something that we saw in the last game from Darren, was a really big, impactful Pokemon in this one, having the bulk to be able to take special attacks from the opponent and really deal out some big damage, which is weird to say, a water type in the Sun dealing big damage, but here we are in Generation 9 with one of the few Pokemon that can actually do that. On Toby's side here, we do have the classic pairing of Miraidon and Zamazenta crowned here, the two really complementing each other extremely well. Miraidon being that sort of pivot Pokemon, being able to do massive damage, using Volt Switch, making sure the terrain is up to blank any opposing spores or anything like that. And then the Zamazenta is just the ultimate support Pokemon in the restricted slot, having access to both Protect and Wide Guard, in addition to its dual stab attacks, doing big damage as well. I think in this game, we're really looking for some speed control sort of shenanigans. Iron Bundle is always going to be the fastest thing on the field in the electric terrain, able to get the icy winds off and make sure that Toby is able to hit to win those speed control wars with the -1 speed drop from Icy Winds, and making sure that Miraidon and Zamazenta are always the fastest thing on the field. And I think that Ditto could be a really interesting Pokemon in this one as well. We've seen it come up before now as kind of a really impactful Pokemon if you're able to pivot it in correctly, especially into these Shadow Rider Calyrex matchups. Anytime that you get Ditto in against a Shadow Rider Calyrex, especially one that maybe has +1 from a Grimmsnarl boost, Ditto also gets that Grimmsnarl boost and is going to be faster due to the choice scarf items. So lots of moving pieces in this matchup. Really excited. I like both teams here. It's not clear just off rip to see who is going to have the better matchup here. Should be a fun battle of two great deserving trainers going for the top here.
Yeah, absolutely. So we don't want to take up any more of your time, ladies and gentlemen. Let's hop right into this match. Darren B versus Toby H, our finals here. And as we load in, we have to wonder, how are they going to predict each other in this game number 1? There we go. I'm expecting, there's no weather contention this game, so it's quite possible that we'll see a Koraidon lead. But we have Miraidon double restricteds against one restricted and a Weezing. Neutralizing gas coming out and stopping many of these abilities from coming out into the field.
Yeah, so I think Weezing is a really impactful Pokemon to bring out first here, because both restricteds on Toby's side of the field really love their ability. No electric terrain from Miraidon means it's way weaker, and no Dauntless Shield boost from the Zamazenta means that it's unable to maybe take a Flare Blitz or a Collision Course from the opposing Koraidon. So really impactful that Darren has decided maybe the Pokemon Weezing isn't that impactful by itself, but the ability to turn off opposing abilities really big in this lead.
Yeah, absolutely. We see a Terastallization coming out here into the Zamazenta, wanting to go into Terra Dragon, saying, hey, I want to lose my fighting weakness and turn my fire weakness into a resistance. He's not wanting to deal with that Koraidon, but Koraidon instead chooses to go for a more safe play itself, going for the Protect. Double Protect even, from both of Darren's Pokemon, wanting to see what the Miraidon is going to lock itself into there, because due to the choice specs. This Body Press is also going to whiff as well, just like the Miraidon's move, and yeah.
Yeah, not a lot lost from Darren there, going for the double protect there. And in this case, it was dual purpose. Number one, it sees what this Miraidon is looking to lock into. We saw that it is going to click Electro Drift, and making the Zamazenta blow its Terra, so you know maybe, hey, now my Weezing can click Fairy moves into you.
Absolutely. Here comes a Collision Course boosted by the Sun, the Orichalcum Pulse, doing about half to this Iron Hand, so pretty physically bulky Pokemon, but here comes a Will-O-Wisp into the Zamazenta saying, hey, I may not be able to hit you over hard, even with a Strange Steam, but you aren't going to be able to do much to me with this burn. Body Press, despite using the defense stat, does get its damage reduced by the burn.
Yeah, I think if you're Darren, you're really happy with that second turn there. Really happy to get a little bit of chip onto the Iron Hands, and then Will-O-Wisp, not always the most accurate move, but when it hits, it is massive. And getting a burn on that Zamazenta basically means that it's not doing anything for the entire rest of the game. If it is, it's really doing a very low impact amount of damage from here on out. So really great turn from Darren.
Yeah, absolutely. We see the Koraidon switch out into this Calyrex, hopefully wanting to dodge a fighting-type attack being thrown at it from the opposing side. But instead, we see a heavy slam go into the Weezing. The weight difference is massive, but due to the burn, the Weezing stays above half health and gets another burn off onto the Iron Hands. So the Iron Hands goes for a Drain Punch that completely whiffs into the Calyrex Shadow Rider, and both physical threats on Toby's side of the field are crippled due to the burns that they both have.
Yeah, it doesn't get a lot better than that turn for Darren. You get to conserve your Focus Sash on the Calyrex. The Will-O-Wisp does hit on the Iron Hands, meaning it's effectively done for the day now. And you can do whatever you want now with Calyrex.
Oh my goodness, Darren has got to be so happy with this turn. He read it perfectly, goes for Encore into Iron Hands, forcing Drain Punches that won't do much, and a Taunt goes into the Zamazenta, preventing any future Wide Guards. So yes, there's a Drain Punch. He does go for the Weezing, but a Quad Resistance, while burned, is effectively an immunity here.
Yeah, again, I think Darren really is reading this game perfectly. Absolutely, the Zamazenta Wide Guard was the obvious play there, so he decided to say, no, I don't think I'm gonna blank my move here, and lock in the Iron Hands into a fighting move that is doing absolutely nothing, and then getting the taunt off. So the next turn, your Calyrex has a pretty darn free Astro Barrage that's going to do a ton of damage into what is now about to be a Galarian Weezing on Toby's side of the field.
No, actually, this was really clever. Because of the Galarian Weezing neutralizing gas, Imposter on Ditto doesn't do anything, which means it won't take any damage from this Astro Barrage and can transform on its next turn.
That's pretty funny. I don't think I've ever seen that interaction before, but you're exactly right. It stays a little blob there. It doesn't get the Imposter ability off.
Now, the Iron Hands does stay up. Now, the Sludge Bomb does do a lot of damage into this into this Ditto. Ditto not being a very defensive Pokemon on its own without being transformed and having a low HP stat regardless. But this burn is going to take out the Iron Hands. I think that if you're Toby, you were very happy to see that, wanting that off the field.
Yeah, it was locked into Drain Punch that was doing 0 damage to Calyrex Shadow Rider, and not much more than that to the Weezing. So you're actually pretty happy that the burn takes you out there. And now Toby gets to look at the Pokemon in the back. We know that it's probably Miraidon because the burnt Zamazenta isn't doing anything for you right now, and is just trying to think, how can I do it? Remember, Ditto does not have a very high speed stat by itself, so even though it's Choice Scarfed right now, odds of it going before the Shadow Rider Calyrex are probably pretty low. So odds are this Calyrex is going to be able to get a move off prior to Ditto getting its transformation off.
Yeah, we see Darren lock into Pollen Puff, wanting to take out this Ditto before it can do anything more threatening, but a great read by Toby, switching into the Zamazenta, taking some damage, and the Miraidon saying, I want my abilities back, you can't keep turning them off, and even without the electric terrain, the Weezing faints, and that means that electric terrain's going to go up, as well as the Dauntless Shield, giving a defense boost to the Zamazenta.
Yeah, I think that was a good turn from Toby to get back into this. You still have a burnt Zamazenta, unfortunately, so things are still kind of rough. And we see now, first time that we've seen what Darren has in the back, we do see that the Chi-Yu is going to come out here. Chi-Yu is bad news for Miraidon. Chi-Yu can do Snarl, which will allow it to lower Miraidon's special attack, keeping in mind that Zamazenta could be wide guarding right now. But more importantly, it can click the Dark Pulse button, which is going to do a ton of damage into that Miraidon that's currently locked in to a move right now. Yeah,
so Calyrex goes for Protect, wanting maybe to read this wide guard and not wanting to play into it, but a Dark Pulse is saying, hey, I do not want you to be clicking that later in this match, like you were saying, and Zamazenta goes down, and we'll see who Miraidon tried to target down. Does go for the Electro Drift into the Chi-Yu, should be a knockout. This isn't Sash Chi-Yu, it's Scarf Chi-Yu, so we're down to our last Pokemon on really both sides at this point.
Yeah, and we know that the Ditto is the Pokemon on Toby's side here, which is about to copy the Koraidon, if I'm not mistaken. Looking across from it, which means this Koraidon is going to be faster than the Calyrex Shadow Rider on Darren's side due to the Choice Scarf that Ditto is holding right now. And this Miraidon that is locked into Electro Drift right now. The power points could be a factor here too. I believe we've seen 3 Electro Drifts so far from Miraidon. I think at max it only has 8, so maybe Darren wants to stall out a little bit and maybe make this Miraidon struggle a little bit. This is a very interesting endgame though, with the fast Ditto being the fastest thing on the field, but it has to lock into something here.
Yeah, you see, unfortunately the Calyrex went for Protect last turn, but the Koraidon, oh gosh, Darren's Koraidon goes for Protect. A Flare Blitz comes out into the Calyrex, just getting as much damage as possible, but that's going to do so much recoil. Ditto almost faints, and an Astro Barrage is going to take it out, which is not good news for Toby. Miraidon will survive. The lack of Grim Nade boosts really helping out here. Hasn't really gotten many boosts, this Calyrex Shadow Rider. Electro Drift, yes, does take out the Calyrex, but now you're locked into Electro Drift into a Dragon-type Koraidon. I don't know if that'll be enough damage to take it out.
Yeah, you'd like to think not. And I think we haven't seen up to this point what the speed tiers look like with these two Pokemon. Base speeds are tied for the 2 Bike Dragons, but we don't know who's faster. It does look like Miraidon's faster is going to get an Electro Drift off. Probably not going to kill. It does kill! Wow, huge damage from the Electro Drift. Specs Miraidon in the terrain, and it Toby with his back kind of against the wall there in the end game, kind of awkward with the burnt Iron Hands, the burnt Zamazenta, unsure kind of how to get out of that, is able to get himself back into the game and win game 1.
Yeah, absolutely. That Ditto came in as the MVP, able to successfully pivot into an Astral Barrage, and then switch back out, then turn into a restricted. Absolutely crucial in stalling out the Shadow Rider, not letting it get any boosts from the Astral Barrage, really bringing Toby back into this game, allowing him to take game number 1.
Yeah, I think the biggest crucial thing there was that very end game. It wasn't clear to me whether the Koraidon was going to be able to take the Electro Drift from Miraidon. The two, I mean, Miraidon is extremely, don't get me wrong, but and Koraidon had taken a decent amount of damage, but there's a world where the Koraidon is able to take that. So Miraidon had enough damage there to get it done and takes the game. And going into game 2, if you're Darren, you're kind of scratching your head there like, I thought I had that one, man, everything was looking good, everything was burnt, and the game was completely in my favor. And then really, you said it best, the Ditto was absolutely a game changer there, despite having the ability reduced for it. Ended up being the mon that got Toby back into the end game there. So you got to think Toby's thinking right now, how do I get that Ditto in the right situation where I'm able to kind of take it into the end game and maybe not hemorrhage the momentum with the burnt Iron Hands and Zamazenta along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Positioning always so crucial with the Ditto, and you know that Darren, having lost to it in game 1, is going to be hyper fixated on not making any slip-ups. So we see Toby switch in, lead off once again with his double restricted Zamazenta and Miraidon, and we have the same leads this time, Weezing and Koraidon, both of them getting their abilities off while Toby's Pokemon are ability locked.
Yeah, so last time we had Darren do an instant double protect. He didn't think too hard about it, and it made a lot of sense. This time, he's saying, I don't think that you're going to fall for that again, and just goes straight for the big moves.
Yeah, absolutely. Wants that Collision Course damage off early this time. Miraidon was at so much HP the entire game until the end, allowing it to live, but the not going for the double protect means it falls to a Draco Meteor turn 1. And this Heavy Slam, it's not burned this time. That's going to do so much damage to the Weezing. It gets a burn off, but a Sneeze will take out this Weezing at this point. This is a terrible start for Darren.
Yeah, if you're Darren, you are like really upset right now. Great predictions there from Toby, thinking that Darren would not waste his Terra on the Koraidon. Also, that's a play from Toby that if Darren did the double protect play again, would have been really punishing. So really great job by him to determine that I'm just gonna sit in and get this Koraidon off the field. Chi-Yu is in a good spot though. Let's not get it wrong. Chi-Yu in this game is now in a good spot against this Miraidon at -2. And Weezing is still out there, which means no electric terrain out there right now. Draco Meteor is going to do basically nothing. You got to think that Toby's thinking about that Terra Dragon right now, though, to maybe get a big hit off and avoid the heat wave that could be coming from the Chi-Yu.
Yeah, the problem is even burned, there's no encore or potential taunt this turn as the Weezing switches out, which means Wide Guard is just free. So Beads of Ruin activates as the Weezing switches out, lowering special defense. The boost to defense on Zamazenta comes in, but we will see the Chi-Yu should be the fastest Pokemon on the field. We'll see what the Zamazenta clicked. No, Zamazenta is saying, hey, I don't want any part of this fire damage coming out. Oh, I apologize. It's Chi-Yu saying, I don't want any part of a body press. I'm going to go Terra Ghost. That will prevent it from a body press, like I mentioned. It also will prevent an attack, a fake out from the Iron Hands. So the Iron Hands is really only limited to electric type attacks going forward.
Yeah, Chi-Yu decides to lock into Dark Pulse here, which means that if Zamazenta is going to click Wide Guard, that means that there's at least one Pokemon that is going to be able to hit through it. So really like that lock in from Darren, making sure that the Terra happens. You don't have to worry about body presses or drain punches or fake outs here. And now, because the Zamazenta doesn't super want to click Wide Guard, you have a relatively free Astral Barrage from the Calyrex side of the field here. I actually think Darren set up his position sneakily well here.
See, I'm slightly less confident in that, because if you can just permanently click Wide Guard, you can just use Wild Charge on your... So we have the Dark Pulse. It does a good amount of damage. We see the Encore into the Protect, so he didn't go for a Wide Guard in any capacity. So the Protect will fail. So looks like you had a better read on it than I did. But we'll see. This is not burned this time. A Wild Charge does good damage, making sure the Sash is useless on Calyrex. And Iron Hands, I think, is in a really good position.
Yeah, Iron Hands is in a good position. The thing that is helping out Darren's side, though, is even though Iron Hands has the Assault Vest, you're in an okay spot in which the Beads of Ruin are still active to be able to reduce the damage to increase the damage. But it looks like Darren's going for more of a defensive play here, taking opportunity of the Zamazenta locking in to Protect right now. That it's a potential to get that Weezing in, and maybe change what move the Chi-Yu is locked into.
Yeah, I can see the Chi-Yu not wanting to be in a single target move as we approach the end game when you're down Pokemon. We see a Protect coming out, and with Protect coming out on both Restricteds currently on the field, we'll see who the Iron Hands targeted. It does ding into the Calyrex's Protect, just kind of resetting tempo slightly and causing more burn damage to accumulate on Zamazenta.
Yeah, so looking at the team sheet, though, I did make a mistake earlier in suggesting Weezing having a Fairy move, which it does not. Its only attacking move is Sludge Bomb. That's actually a pretty big deal here. The Weezing is not going to be able to click the super effective move into the Iron Hands. So now you're probably thinking it's going to be Astral Barrage, but it's going to be a switch out here from the Calyrex, and see what Weezing decides to do here.
Yeah, really interesting play. I'm not sure, so I think this is the last turn of Forced Protect. It does get the double Protect. Here comes a Will-O-Wisp, is going to seriously hamper this Iron Hands once again. We'll see who this Iron Hands was able to target. Goes for a Wild Charge into the Chi-Yu, but that burn means it takes it reasonably well. The Sunlight fades as more burn ticks down, taking the Zamazenta to a quarter HP.
Yeah, both burns are doing their job here, and yes, you were correct with the internal clock in your head. The Encore does wear off for Zamazenta, so that does mean it can go for Wide Guard again if Chi-Yu wants to lock in the Heat Wave here. It is going to have to do that with a potential of a Wide Guard coming out here. It does look like Darren is just thinking, hey, maybe he doesn't want to click that right now, and just wants to click a move and try and knock out the Weezing or do large damage into Chi-Yu with Heavy Slam.
Yeah, absolutely. Such a big turn. A Heat Wave comes out, but it is with the Dragon Terra, it is able to survive. We see a Taunt come out, potentially interesting choice. I'm not sure I agree with that, because if the Heat Wave, I suppose you were expecting a Heat Wave to maybe be blocked and prevent it, but you could have just gone for Sludge Bomb in that case and just taken it out.
Yeah, I really like Darren's position now, though. And the reason for that is, well, actually, yep, the burn actually knocks out the Zamazenta. I don't think that's what you wanted if you're Darren, because this next turn, you had Zamazenta unable to Wide Guard, on the field with 2 Pokemon that really want to hit it with spread moves. Also, a potential to get some boosts with the Calyrex to finish out this endgame. Now, with the burn taking it out, and yes, we do see that Ditto as the last Mon on Toby's side is about to copy the Calyrex Shadow Rider with the Choice Scarf and the Terra Ghost Chi-Yu on Darren's side. I do believe that is all she wrote, as it should be just a little Astral Barrage from this Ditto, and this should be the end of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Ditto coming in and showing why having 3 restricteds is absolutely better than 2. I think easily Ditto is the MVP of this finals here at the League Cup at the Collector's Store. One final Astral Barrage, and Toby takes his title, takes his crown. Congratulations to Toby. You played a fantastic tournament here today.
Super great game. Congratulations to both players, Darren and Toby, for getting to the finals. Congratulations, Darren. You had a run, had a lot of success with this team, so keep your head held high. I think in this one, the real difference absolutely was that Ditto. Anytime that Ditto is sitting across from a Calyrex Shadow Rider, you gotta think it's in for a good time. Being able to copy and be faster, be able to get those Astral Barrages off quicker than the Calyrex that it's copying. And also Zamazenta was just a real thorn in the side for Darren there. Anytime it had the opportunity to go for Wide Guard, whether he actually clicked it or not, it always had to make Darren play just a little bit different. And just the combination of those guys plus the people that the Mons that we know are good, Miraidon being great, Iron Hands just having enough raw damage to be able to do the things it needed to do in that end game, just looked like that Toby was in control that whole time and never looked back. So congratulations to Toby on your win today at the Collector's Store Cup in St. Peters, Missouri, and well won.
Yes, absolutely. Congratulations to Toby and all of our competitors today. And with that, we conclude our coverage of the League Cup at the Collector's Store. I've been Jared Carpenter, joined by Chris Yingling, and thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, and we will see you at the next event. Goodbye.